This story is part of Dr. Ravindra Jadhav's collection, titled The Fireflies in the Dark. The 5th edition has been completed, with 5,000 copies sold in Maharashtra. The stories are now being translated into English for a global audience.
Title: The Fireflies in the Dark Story. 9. Why Need Children? Dr. Ravindra Jadhav speaking. Who's this? This is the Kalayan Railway Police. Sir, we have a woman here. Could you accommodate her in your shelter for a few days? Yes, of course. What's the situation? She was in a state of attempting suicide. We have stopped her, but she will need to stay with you until we complete our investigation. Do we have any information about her family? I asked. She can't provide us with any details, sir, they replied. All right, please send her over. I'll take care of her. Soon, a lady constable arrived with a 67-year-old woman. Her hair was tangled, her body seemed strained, and she was limping. Hello, Dr. Sahib, the constable greeted. Hello, please come in. I welcomed her. I called Balu Rayate and collected all the necessary details. The elderly woman was attempting suicide by laying on the railway tracks, the constable explained. When we stopped her, she said, "What's the point of living? I have 4 children, but none of them are willing to care for me. I sold my house and gave the money to them, thinking they would take care of me. Instead, they have neglected me. After begging for food for several days, I realized that it's better to end this life if it means enduring such misery." Understood, I said. Please take care of her for a few days, sir. We'll continue searching for her family and return her to them once we locate them, the police said, and left. The woman was brought inside. She hadn't bathed for days, and a strong odor emanated from her. Her hair was a tangled mess. I had her bathe, and we gave her a hearty meal. I then sat down with her to listen to her story, which was deeply heart-wrenching. This woman had worked as a maid in Nair Hospital. Her husband, though good-natured, had a drinking problem. His liver deteriorated due to excessive alcohol, and he passed away. She took on the responsibility of raising 4 children, but never once faltered. She provided for their education and ensured that each child received some form of education and employment. Her children were loving and always called her mother, never letting her feel the absence of her husband. She never allowed her children to lack anything. As her children grew up and got married, they settled into their own lives. The house, earned through her husband's hard work, had to be lived in alone by her. Her children and their families were so affectionate that she never imagined they would betray her. But in a moment of emotional upheaval, she sold the house, thinking that in her old age, she could spend time with each child, 1 month at a time. However, her plans were shattered within a year. She was treated like a football. Jayendra, her eldest son, moved to Delhi for work and settled there. Her second son, Ramu, fell into bad company and destroyed himself with alcohol. Despite having 2 children, he was more focused on drinking than on caring for his family. His wife did not take good care of her mother-in-law either, always prioritizing housework and meals for her own family over the needs of her mother-in-law. She would berate her, saying, "Why did you give birth to such a drunkard?" Once she told this to her son, he got angry at his wife, and the wife insulted the mother-in-law. This only worsened her suffering. Therefore, she left and went to her second daughter, Sushma. Sushma was kind, but struggled financially. She had no choice but to use her mother's pension money to manage expenses. Her own financial situation was also strained. When her mother fell ill, Sushma had to pawn her jewelry to admit her to the hospital. Despite these hardships, Sushma felt guilty for not doing enough. Thus, she went to her third daughter, Shanti. When Shanti's mother arrived, she was scolded. "Mother, you gave more money to others and less to me. My husband is wealthy. Do you lack anything?" "Do you feel shortchanged?" Shanti asked. "Fine. I'll leave. Don't worry about me. It's my fault." With that, her mother left without a word. Wandering through the streets, she sought refuge wherever she could. Tears streamed down her face. A once proud woman now found herself helpless and desolate. She felt deeply saddened by her situation. Rather than wandering from one door to another begging for food, it would be better to end this life. Her story found her taking shelter in a temple. Night fell. The priest asked, "Old woman, who are you?" She told her story. The priest gave her water and a hearty meal, saying, "Rest here for the night. You can leave tomorrow." The priest didn't say more. She spent the night in a corner trying to sleep. The next day, she said goodbye to the priest and left the temple. She walked towards the market area, hoping to visit a friend near the Kalyan depot, but her bag was stolen, and she lost her way. Her last hope seemed to fade. Where could she go now? She wandered around the Kalyan ST depot, begging like a destitute. Her blood pressure was high and her heart raced. She held out her hands asking for alms. Some gave her a rupee, others offered food. As she faced this harsh reality, she decided to end her life. But how? A painful death seemed meaningless. A quick end seemed better. Such were her thoughts. She walked to the railway tracks, slowly making her way. But railway police found her and brought her to me. Even with 4 children, if a mother must endure such suffering, then why need children, my friends?